Ryan adjusted the strap of his gear as he crouched behind a large metal crate. The dense jungle around the Valkyr planet was alive with strange sounds, the calls of unknown creatures. The rustling of leaves in the soft breeze. This was far from Earth, but Ryan was used to danger. As a human intelligence officer, his job was to observe and learn about the Vulkars, a proud and fierce alien race known for their strength and strict rules. This mission was secret, and Ryan knew one. Mistake could mean disaster. His eyes scanned the clearing ahead. There in the bright sunlight stood Lyra, the Valkyr warrior he was sent to watch. She wore heavy armor that covered her body in strong plates, designed to protect her in battle. Her movements were quick and sure, every step showing her power and skill. Ryan had heard stories about Vulkars. They were proud, loyal, and not friendly. Two outsiders. Spying on one was risky, but Ryan needed to know more about Lyra. His commanders wanted information on their defenses, their weapons, and how they fought. Ryan held his breath as Lyra approached a group of her soldiers. She spoke loudly in Valkyr language, her voice sharp but commanding respect. Even through the armor, Ryan could see her eyes fierce and alert. She seemed like a queen of war, but something more hid behind her strong face. Suddenly a twig snapped under Ryan's boot. His heart jumped. Lyra stopped and turned sharply toward his hiding place. Ryan froze, knowing he was caught. The soldiers behind Lyra noticed too and reached for their weapons. No spying. "Human," Lyra said in clear English, her voice low and serious as she stepped toward him. Her heavy armor clanked softly with each step. Ryan raised his hand slowly. Showing he meant no harm to Ryan's surprise, Lyra did not order her soldiers to capture him. Instead, she did something unexpected. She reached up and began to remove her helmet, then the shoulder plates, and finally the chest armor. One by one, the heavy metal pieces fell away, revealing her real self beneath, a young woman with soft skin, sharp eyes, and long dark hair. She had a strong but natural beauty that made Ryan's breath catch. "You wanted to see the Valkyr warrior," Lyra said quietly, her gaze steady on Ryan. "This is who I am, not just the armor." Ryan looked at her in awe. All his ideas about the Vulkars were changing. Lyra was not just a fighter. She was proud, honest, and real. "I'm sorry for spying," Ryan said softly. "I only wanted to learn, to protect my people." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Slowly, there is more to know than just battles and weapons. But if you want to understand, you must respect our ways." Ryan nodded quickly, feeling a strange respect growing inside him. This was no longer just a mission. It was the start of something new. Lyra single quotes as soldiers lowered their weapons and stepped back, giving space between her and Ryan. The jungle noises returned, filling the silence. Lyra looked around, then smiled slightly, a rare softness in her face. "Come," she said. "Walk with me." Ryan hesitated, but then followed her, as they walked through the jungle together. Lyra told stories of her people, their traditions, their struggles, and their hopes for the future. Ryan listened closely, realizing how much he had misunderstood the Vulkars. They were not just warriors, they were a proud people with deep honor. At one point, Lyra stopped beside a quiet river. The sunlight danced on the water's surface. She sat on a smooth rock, still without her armor. Ryan sat nearby, feeling the weight of the moment. "Human," Lyra said quietly. "You wear your own armor, not metal, but secrets and fear. If you want peace, you must remove those too." Ryan looked at her and smiled. Maybe this mission was not only about spying anymore. Maybe it was about finding trust where none existed before. The day passed with them sharing stories and quiet moments. The jungle seemed less wild, less dangerous. Ryan felt hope for the first time since arriving on this strange planet as the sun set. Casting orange light across the sky, Lyra stood and put her armor back on piece by piece. Ryan helped, careful and respectful. When she finished, she looked at him with a new understanding. "Tomorrow we begin a new path," Lyra said firmly. "No more spying, only truth." Ryan nodded, ready for what was next. The mission had changed, and so had he. The jungle night closed in around them, but inside, a small light of trust and friendship had been born. Ryan woke early. The soft light of the Valkyr planet's dawn filtering through the thick jungle leaves. The air was cool and fresh, carrying the scent of wet earth and strange flowers. Yesterday's meeting with Lyra stayed clear in his mind. Her words no more spying, only truth echoed softly. Changing his thoughts, Lyra was waiting near a campfire, her armor resting on nearby rocks. Without the heavy plates, she looked smaller but no less strong. Her sharp eyes caught Ryan's. As he approached, she gave a small nod. "Ready for today's challenge?" she asked. Ryan smiled. "I want to understand you better, and I want to help if I can." Lyra's lips curved in a rare, brief smile. "Good, today you will see what it means to be a Valkyr." They set off together deeper into the jungle. Ryan noticed how Lyra moved, with grace, stepping carefully over roots and stones. Every now and then, she paused to listen to the sounds around them, or to touch a leaf or flower. This was a world alive with danger, but also beauty. As they walked, Lyra told him stories about Valkyr history. She spoke of great battles fought long ago, and of leaders who shaped their people's honor and pride.
Ryan listened closely, realizing
that the Valkyrs valued strength not just in battle, but in heart and mind. "Our armor protects us," Lyra explained, "but it is not who we truly are. Inside, we are bound by honor and trust. You must see that if you want to be an ally." Ryan nodded, feeling a growing respect for Lyra's people. He wanted to prove that humans could be worthy friends, not just observers. Their journey brought them to a clearing where a training ground lay. Valkyr warriors practiced their combat skills with swords, spears, and hand-to-hand moves. Lyra introduced Ryan to some of her comrades. The warriors eyed Ryan cautiously, but did not show hostility. "This is your chance," Lyra said, "to learn what it means to fight with honor." Ryan watched as Lyra demonstrated her skill. She moved like a dancer, precise and deadly. When she fought, she was not just strong, she was smart, using her enemies' moves against them. Ryan felt inspired and challenged. Lyra then handed him a practice sword. "Try," she said, though Ryan was trained in human combat fighting. Valkyr was different. Their strength was greater, their style unfamiliar. He stumbled but kept trying, guided by Lyra's steady coaching. The warriors cheered quietly, surprised by his effort. Lyra smiled, her eyes shining with pride. After training, Lyra and Ryan sat by a fire, sharing simple food. The mood was lighter, now filled with quiet laughter and honest talks. Ryan told Lyra about Earth, its people, struggles, and hopes. Lyra shared her fears about war and what it meant to protect her home. Suddenly, Lyra's expression grew serious. "There is a threat coming. A ruthless alien faction, the Zeroths. They seek to conquer and destroy. They do not respect our honor or lives." Ryan's heart tightened. "We need to stop them." Lyra nodded. "But we cannot do it alone. Need allies." "Then we fight together," Ryan said firmly. "Humans and Valkyrs." Lyra looked at him, the firelight flickering in her eyes. This is the test of trust. Their bond deepened as they planned. Ryan shared human strategies, while Lyra explained Valkyr tactics and warrior strengths. They realized their skills complemented each other. The next days were filled with preparation. Ryan worked alongside Valkyr soldiers, learning their ways. Lyra trusted him more each day, seeing his courage and honor. One evening, Ryan stood with Lyra atop a hill, watching the sunset. The sky was painted with red and gold. Lyra spoke softly. "I was wrong to see humans only as spies. You have shown me trust and strength." Ryan smiled, "And you showed me the heart behind the armor." As night fell, a message arrived. Zeroth forces were moving closer, preparing to strike. The time for hiding was over. Ryan and Lyra stood ready, their alliance a symbol of hope. They knew the coming battle would test everything, but together, they were stronger. "No more spying," Lyra said quietly. "Only truth and trust." Ryan nodded. "And together, we will protect what matters." The jungle around them grew quiet, but inside both warriors burned with determination and a new, unspoken connection. Ryan woke to the low hum of the Valkyr camp. Outside, the sky was still dark, but a faint glow from the distant stars lit the clearing. Today was important. Zeroths, a cruel alien faction, were coming closer to Lyra's home. Battle would test everything they had learned together. As he stretched, Lyra approached, fully armored, but with the same calm strength in her eyes. "Are you ready?" "Nod quietly." Ryan nodded. "More than ever. Want to fight by your side, not just watch." Lyra studied him for a moment, then gave a slight smile. "Trust is earned, and you have earned mine." They gathered with the Valkyr warriors, sharing a quiet moment before the coming storm. Ryan noticed how every warrior stood tall and proud, their faces set with determination. Lyra's presence inspired them. She was more than a fighter. She was a leader before the battle. Ryan and Lyra found a quiet spot away from the camp. Ryan hesitated but then spoke honestly. "I have to tell you something. When I first came here, my orders were to spy on you, to find your weaknesses." Lyra's eyes narrowed, but she said nothing, waiting. "But meeting you changed everything," Ryan continued. "I don't want to be a spy anymore. I want to be your ally, your friend." Lyra's expression softened. "You could have lost everything by lying, I know," Ryan said. "But I want to earn your trust every day." Lyra nodded slowly. "Then show me." As dawn broke, the Zerath fleet appeared on the horizon, dark ships moving like shadows. Against the light, the Valkyr warriors readied their weapons, and Ryan stood close to Lyra, feeling the weight of the moment. The battle began with a roar. Zerath fighters swooped down, firing energy blasts. Valkyr warriors met them with skill and courage, their swords and shields flashing in the sun. Ryan used his knowledge of Zerath tactics to warn Lyra of attacks from unexpected angles. They communicated with quick signals, a new language born. From trust and need, in the thick of the fight, a Zerath warrior charged at Lyra. She fought fiercely, but the enemy was strong and fast. Ryan saw her stumble and rushed forward to help, with a careful strike. He pushed the attacker away and helped Lyra regain her footing. Their eyes met, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them: respect, trust, and something more. The battle raged on, fierce and dangerous. Ryan and Lyra fought side by side, their movements in sync. They saved each other more than once, their bond growing stronger. Finally, the Zerath forces began to retreat, their numbers broken and spirits low. The Valkyrs cheered, but Lyra and Ryan knew this was only the beginning. After the battle, as the sun set, Ryan and Lyra sat by a fire, their bodies tired but their spirits high. Lyra removed her helmet, letting her dark hair fall free. "You fought well today, human," she said softly. "Only because I had a Valkyr warrior by my side," Ryan replied. They talked long into the night, sharing hopes and fears. Ryan realized that he no longer saw Lyra as just an alien warrior, but as someone who had touched his heart. Lyra felt the same. Beneath her armor and strength, she found comfort in Ryan's honesty and courage. Their journey was far from over. Many challenges awaited them, from their own people's doubts to the rising threat of the Zeroths. But together, they had found trust where once there was only suspicion. The night sky stretched above them, endless and full of stars. Ryan reached out, gently taking Lyra's hand. She didn't pull away. In that quiet moment, they knew the future would be hard, but with each other, they could face anything. The sun rose slowly over the Valkyr homeland, casting warm light across the rugged mountains and deep forests. The quiet was filled with the distant sounds of preparations, warriors sharpening blades, commanders giving orders, and the steady hum of machines readying for battle. Lyra stood on a rocky ledge, her armor gleaming in the morning light. Beside her, Ryan adjusted his gear, feeling the weight of what was to come. Today was the day they would face the Zerath fleet head-on. The enemy was ruthless, known for destroying entire worlds without mercy. But Lyra's people were brave, and with Ryan by her side, they had hope. "Are you ready?" Lyra asked, her voice steady but soft. Ryan nodded. "With you, Yes. As the Zereth ships appeared on the horizon, dark shapes moving swiftly through the sky, Lyra gathered her warriors. The Volkers formed tight ranks, their weapons ready, their spirits unbroken. The battle began with a thunderous roar. Zeroth, fighters, swooped down, firing energy blasts that lit up the sky. Valkyr warriors met them with swords and shields, their movements swift and precise. Lyra led the charge, her sword cutting through the air with deadly grace. Ryan stayed close, calling out warnings and strategies. His knowledge of Zeroth tactics saved many lives. When a group of Zeroth soldiers tried to flank the Valkyrs, Ryan alerted Lyra just in time. She turned swiftly, rallying her warriors to meet the attack. The fight was fierce and unforgiving. Sparks flew as swords clashed, and the air filled with shouts and the sounds of combat. Ryan found himself in the thick of it, fighting alongside Lyra. Their teamwork was perfect. She struck hard and fast. While he used his speed and wits to protect her, suddenly, a powerful Zereth warrior broke through the line and charged at Lyra. She raised her shield, but the enemy's strike was strong. Lyra stumbled, caught off guard. Ryan didn't hesitate. He dashed forward, deflecting the attack with his weapon and pushing the enemy back. "I've got you," Ryan said, steadying Lyra. Their eyes met, fierce, determined, and full of trust. Together, they fought back the enemy, driving them away from the Valkyr lines. The battle lasted for hours, testing every skill and ounce of courage they had. Finally, the Zereth forces began to retreat, their numbers broken and morale low. The Volkers cheered, but Lyra and Ryan knew the war was not over. Da-da-da-da-da-da, the Zeroths would return. After the battle, the warriors gathered to honor their fallen. Lyra stood quietly, her armor battered, but her spirit strong. Ryan sat beside her, feeling the weight of loss and victory. "You saved my life," Lyra said softly. "And you saved mine," Ryan replied. Their bond had grown stronger in the heat of battle. It was more than respect now, it was friendship, trust, and something deeper. As night fell, Lyra removed her helmet, letting her dark hair fall around her shoulders. Ryan watched, amazed at the woman behind the armor. She was strong, beautiful, and real. They talked by the fire, sharing dreams of peace and a future where humans and Volkers could live as allies. The road ahead was uncertain, but together they would face it. "No more armor between us," Lyra said, smiling. "Only trust," Ryan answered. The stars shone above, silent witnesses to their promise. The days after the battle were filled with a strange mix of relief and tension. The Zereth forces had been pushed back, but their threat still loomed over the Valkyr lands. Lyra and Ryan worked side by side, planning defenses and training new warriors. The bond between them grew stronger. But not everyone in the Valkyr camp welcomed their alliance. Some warriors whispered that Lyra was too trusting of a human. They saw Ryan as an outsider, a spy, or worse, a weakness. Lyra felt their eyes on her, judging her every move. Yet she stood firm, knowing that trust and change were needed if her people were to survive. Ryan noticed the cold stares and quiet. Doubts he wanted to prove himself not just to Lyra, but to all the Volkers. So he pushed harder in training, learning their ways, and showing respect to their customs. Slowly, some warriors began to see that he was different, honest, brave, and loyal. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Lyra called Ryan to her tent. She was removing her armor, piece by piece, the heavy plates clinking softly as they hit the ground. This time, it was not for battle, but a symbol. "This armor," Lyra said quietly, "has protected me for years, but it has also kept others. At a distance, now, I want to break those walls." Ryan watched, understanding the courage it took to shed not just metal, but fear and pride. Lyra's eyes met his, filled with hope and determination. "Together," she said, "we can build a future where humans and Volkers stand as one." As days passed, Lyra and Ryan worked to unite their people. They held meetings, shared stories, and faced fears. Some Volkers remained stubborn, Others began to believe in the possibility of peace and friendship. Their efforts were tested when a group of Zareth spies tried to sneak into the camp. Lyra and Ryan led the defense, catching the intruders quickly. This victory showed the Vulkars that their alliance was strong and that humans were true friends. One night, as the camp settled into quiet, Lyra and Ryan sat beneath the stars. The cool air was filled with the scent of night blossoms. Lyra leaned close, her voice soft. "I never thought I could trust a human," she said, "but you have stolen my heart." Ryan smiled, feeling a warmth he had never known. "Open mine." Her hands found each other, fingers entwined in a silent promise. The war and doubts remained, but between them, a new hope had been born. Lyra's armor lay forgotten by the fire, a symbol of the past left behind. The future was theirs to shape together. The Valkyr camp was quiet as dawn broke over the jagged mountains. The air smelled fresh, mixed with the faint scent of wildflowers and the distant sound of a rushing river. Ryan stood near the edge of the camp, looking out at the horizon where the sky met the endless forests. Today was the day the Vulkars and humans would face the Zeroths one last time. Beside him, Lyra adjusted her armor. Not the heavy plates she once wore all the time, but lighter, freer now. She had changed, just as the Vulkars had changed. Trust between them was no longer a secret, but a bond that held their worlds together. "Are you ready?" Lyra asked, her voice steady and calm. Ryan nodded. "I am, Dad." "With you." The warriors gathered, their faces set with determination. The Vulkars and human soldiers stood side by side, united against the Zareth threat. It was a sight many thought. Impossible former enemies now allies, fighting as one, as the Zareth fleet appeared. Dark ships casting shadows over the land. A hush fell over the camp. Lyra raised her sword high, a signal to charge. Ryan followed, his heart pounding, but, filled with hope, the battle was fierce. Zareth fighters came with fire and destruction, but the Vulkars and humans fought with courage and skill. Lyra's sword sang through the air, while Ryan used his knowledge to outsmart the enemy's moves. Together, they led the charge, their bond shining like a beacon in the chaos. At one moment, a massive Zareth warship fired a powerful blast, threatening to break their lines. Lyra shouted orders, and Ryan coordinated the defenders. With careful teamwork, he redirected the attack and saved countless lives. The fight pushed everyone to their limits, but the united forces slowly gained the upper hand. The Zeroth, surprised by the strength of their alliance, began to retreat. As the dust settled, the Vulkars and humans stood victorious. Cheers rose into the sky, but Lyra and Ryan looked beyond the celebration. They saw a future built on trust, respect, and love. Later, as night fell, Lyra and Ryan stood together under the stars. The weight of war lifted, replaced by a quiet peace. "We changed more than just the battle today," Lyra said softly. "Yes," Ryan agreed. "We changed ourselves and our worlds." She smiled, her eyes shining. "And I am proud to walk this path with you." Ryan took her hand, feeling the warmth and strength within it. Together, we are unstoppable. Their story was no longer just about war or spying. It was about two hearts united across worlds. Breaking barriers and building hope, the Valkyr armor lay beside them, a reminder of the past. Now, they faced the future free and united. The stars above twinkled as if celebrating the beginning of something new, a future where humans and Vulkars stood as one, forever bonded by courage, trust, and love. Would you like me to prepare a full text file of the story, or help with anything else?